Hey guys and girls, welcome to Forgetting Walls, the podcast. We're at episode 59, and tonight we talked to Keith. Not this Keith, but the other Keith. We talked to this Keith last week. This week we talked to the other Keith, and it's an interesting conversation we have as we interview him, and it delves into music and ministry and faith and how it all comes together. We found some interesting things out about Keith, and it's a very good conversation. Also, we have our Giants in the Sound segment with Darcy Rumble. We talk about Devin Shelton's new album coming up that he's got an Indiegogo for. And also we talk Wrecking Sarah, a hardcore band, an indie band that has released an album. And we listen to a track from it and we talk about it and hear a little clip from an interview that Darcy had with the frontman from Wrecking Sarah. We thank you for listening. Always thank you for listening. We don't have any sponsors, so we just give a shout out to Johnson and Sound and say go check them out over at johnsonandsound.com. Give us a rating and review on iTunes. It really helps us out. If you're on Stitcher, check us out on Stitcher, or just go to the podcast page. Give us a little love. ForgettingWalls.com/podcast. But something that I've grown to love, even though everybody else may not. And it's time for the dubstep. Hey guys and girls, welcome to Forgetting Walls, the podcast. This is episode 59.
That's right.
59 episodes, and we still don't know what we're doing. Go figure. But here we are. We're loving it. I'm doing silly things during the music, and people laugh at me, always. Anyways, on the show tonight is just a couple of us.
Yep.
On my end.
What?
Yeah, you.
Do you mean there's just a couple of us on this end, or there's a couple of us in general?
There's a couple of us in general.
No. Couple is two. Couple is two.
So a few is three?
A few could be three or more.
But when does many come in effect?
It's relative to what we're talking about.
Okay, but there's a couple of us here, and there's a couple of us there.
So therefore, both couples make a few.
All right, then. Now that we cleared up textual math. Anyways, on this end, I have the sarcastic sequel. Keith.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing? And on the other end, in the Boontown.
That's right.
Boonies.
In the Boonies. Is my dear friend Justin, who will be home tomorrow.
I'm here once again.
Yes, and he'll be home tomorrow with us just for a few days, and maybe I'll get to see him. We'll see.
We'll see.
We will see. And also, on the other end with Justin is our good friend David, who, if you haven't read it yet, should go to our site and read his blog post, Life After Suicide. It is a great read.
Absolutely.
It's inspirational.
It is. Sorta. Kinda. Maybe. I'm dealing with myself right now, so I don't know what to say. No. It is a great read. You should go check it out. But anyways, tonight, we got a good show for you. Well, I know we got a third good segment for you. We talk about some stuff with Darcy.
It
joins us again.
already exists, so...
Yeah, it already exists.
Don't ruin the editing magic.
And in the meat and potatoes tonight, you get a full dose of the sequel. And Lord, we're going to have fun with that.
So feel free to skip this episode. Go ahead and thank you for listening. And
probably best that you do skip this episode, actually.
No, don't skip this episode. Please listen in intently and ask questions and give feedback. I had fun last week not editing. Well, I had fun last week trying to get through the editing process.
Right.
Of David and his multiple repetitive would you rather questions.
I was going to kill you.
That Robbie had already asked.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
We did keep that.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I need to listen to these shows.
Yeah, you probably should listen to the shows.
Don't do it, David.
Yeah, Keith doesn't, so
It's a trap.
I guess it's okay. I wish Keith would just download the episodes, give us a few buffered numbers.
Bump it up.
Yeah.
Support your local scene, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it was interesting. I had fun, but something else that caught me this week, guys, was I was on Twitter, and I've been trying to be more proactive on Twitter, at least my own account.
Right.
And I came across, I follow a bunch of people from a bunch of different bands, and I do follow Matty Mullins from the band Memphis Mayfire, and I came across his tweet, and he's like, everything that we sell or everything that's purchased, I'll be signing. And I'm like, well, I've got to check this out. So I go over to the page, and it's called Beneath the Skin.
Okay.
Let's see, it's beneath the skin is it .org? Yeah, .org.
Dot something or other.
Yeah, it's something or other. Beneath the skin.org. And it is it's an organization that his wife, Brittany, has started.
Brittany.
Okay.
And I was like, let me check it out. So I'm checking it out. I'm like, man, it feels like something else. And we were talking about it before the show, and I said, Justin, doesn't this seem a lot like Heart Support?
And I read it. And, well, I didn't. So, to be honest, I kind of was phased out when you asked, like, what it sounded like. And you sent me the link to it. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, wait, this is exactly like Heart Support.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess there's some differences between the two, the way they're organized, and I guess. But I meant the overall, I guess, message of it is the same. The outcome of it is the same. It seems like here,
which don't get us wrong. We're not criticizing it by any means.
Absolutely not. I think we need a lot of these. I just and I'm going to make statements and questions, but not putting down Beneath the Skin. I think you should go check it out. Like I said, beneaththeskinonline.org. Because I think here they have, I was reading that they have a mentoring program. You can be a mentee or a mentor through this program and help others. They're really focused on relationships. I think it says relationships through mentoring and resources. So I think it's a great organization. But the question came up was that, do you feel like when these organizations pop up like this, and there are other organizations out there that are really, really similar, do you think it's, and I know how people, like, I would say, well, no, it's not the same. I'm not trying to take their, glory or their position or anything. It's just something that I would be, I feel like I was called to do, or something that I thought would be necessary for me to start in this area. But then again, sometimes I feel like a little bit on the edge. It's like, but are you really doing it just, like kind of like riding on their coattails a little bit? And not saying they are, because I mean, honestly, Matty Mullins and the guy, and Jake Lures from August Burns Red, who's one of the founders of Heart Support, they are in like the same genre of music. They travel in the same circles.
Exactly.
So it was really crazy to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And to me, like I said, we're not criticizing this organization. We're not criticizing either one. They're both great, fantastic organizations that you should definitely check out, and I think support. But they are extremely similar. And we see that a lot. It's not just this organization. We see that a lot in a lot of nonprofit organizations. We see this pattern. There is a lot that's wrong with the world, but there are a lot of organizations that are addressing a lot of the same issues. Right. Which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think just on a practical level, one organization can be based in like San Diego, another one can be based in New York. I mean, just geographically, you have people who live in different areas and who can support and be on staff and help in different ways that are just almost impossible to do otherwise, or makes it more difficult to do on just a ground level. And that way, now I don't know if that's the situation here or not, but yeah, I think my biggest fear is I don't want us to be criticizing it at all.
No, and I'm not going to criticize it, because I wanted to pose the questions because, just for the discussion. But here's the, like I said, there's a lot of similarities. But here, I think, is the greatest difference between the two organizations. Where Heart Support is focused on, people and the hurt and dealing with suicide and those things. But they're doing it from more of I want to say a relationship based on just people,
Okay.
a very, I guess, a very non-religious way of doing it. Whereas Beneath the
right.
Skin is very Christian oriented, very focused
Yes.
from a God-centric standpoint. So I think those are the two big differences. I mean, if you go to the website, they have a prayer wall, and you can go and look at the prayer wall. You
Right.
can actually pray for it, and you can click on it and say, I prayed for this, so people know that, people are looking at it and things of that
Right.
nature.
It seems like a mix between Heart Support and My Broken Palace.
Exactly. There you go. That was my other organization, My Broken Palace, which I can't believe because Scott Brinson, which we absolutely need to get on the show at some point to talk about My Broken Palace.
Absolutely.
I met him in Nashville a few years ago, many years ago. And you're talking about just a cool dude who had a heart for teenagers and to dig into that very, that deep, seedy underworld of depression and suicide and cutting and things like that. Where not a lot of people went, and he went there in a very bold way. So you're right; it is kind of a good mix between the two. Very good, astute observation there.
Thank you. I have my moments.
Yes, you do. But I mean, I just wanted to bring it up. But do go check out beneaththeskinonline.org and support them. Get up there. If that's your thing, then be a part of it. And I mean, maybe we'll get a part of it somehow, somewhere here in the future.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just sending in a mentor application.
Are you?
Yeah.
You are awesome.
Well, yeah, he's doing it right now.
Yep.
That is so cool.
Yep. I'm gonna post our website.
Nice.
Put a blog up on there. See if somebody will read it, and maybe I could be a part of it somehow, and we could all get involved.
That's
Absolutely.
happening right now, folks.
Yep.
I love it. That's live, man. Well, live to us.
Yeah, it's like,
See,
4
Keith,
plus days
he's using
old.
his phone for good.
That's good.
hey man, I got good stuff going on here.
Yeah. So, what else is going on in the world that I think our people need to know about? I mean, we deal with a lot of Christian people in our listening audience. So, what's some other good stuff for some Christians to hear about?
Well, Super Bowl 50 is this weekend.
Oh, I'm so stoked!
I feel like Justin actually had like a legit thing that he wanted to talk about.
It's okay. Super Bowl's cool. I guess.
The Super Bowl.
I mean,
is
we're
awesome.
our home state team is in it.
Yep,
so
Carolina
that's,
Panthers.
That's pretty sweet.
gonna dab on them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, but I'm sure there's some more important and pressing news. I mean, not that the Super Bowl is not really.
I don't know, man. That's pretty much the headline of this week.
It pretty much is. But in our world of Forgetting Walls,
Yes.
this week, what else can we? I think we need to be a help desk of information for Christians to know what's going on in the world.
Right.
I'm so full of crap.
Yeah.
Well, there's two major things that kind of went on this past week that I think are important and I think are at least interesting. And I don't know which order you want to go on it, but I guess first we can talk about how your alma mater,
Oh my
Keith,
gosh, I'm so disappointed.
the president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr., has officially endorsed Trump for president. And I know we don't talk a lot about politics on this podcast, probably for good reason.
This is not about politics, though, for me.
Just being a decent human being.
Okay, in Christianity, in what we want to promote as Jesus and who he is, one of
Yes.
the big concepts of that is love. And love, and that's what we are on Forgetting Walls. We want to love people. Not despite their differences or in spite of their differences. We want to love people. So
Yes.
in doing that, we want to love all people. We always talked about no matter their faith, their background of economic statuses, social statuses, racial, ethnicity, any of those things. I mean, everything across the board, we want to love people and find a common ground to love each other. That's how we would. I would assume that we can make the world a better place through that love of each other. But when you have a man who is bent on hating people, except the people who are like him, rich white people, I feel.
Right.
And you support him through a university that is supposed to represent Jesus I just don't, I don't know. I'm not down with that.
Right. And I've talked to a lot of people about it because if people listening don't know this, I'm very, very much into politics and into the whole process and how it relates, especially to religion. I think that's a fascinating relationship there. But it was interesting because I would go to people and be like, have you heard this? They're like, yeah, it's not that important though. Like there were two main reactions I got. Either people were absolutely livid about it, and it was mostly people that I know who have graduated from Liberty, or people just didn't care and say that, oh, he's not that important. He's just a man. He can have his opinion like that. I'm like, but he's an evangelical leader. He is seen as, I mean, he's the president of Liberty, which is seen as a flagship university, I think, for evangelicalism, at least in that branch of Christianity. He's seen as a huge figure, and especially, his father. I guess it doesn't surprise me because, Jerry Falwell Sr. was also very, very heavily involved with politics and the moral majority movement and all that. But it's just sad to see that. And I kind of saw it coming for a while, especially when they had Trump speak on MLK Day as the keynote speaker, which is... that's a whole nother topic of conversation, but I saw it coming from a long ways away. And then him talking about gun control and how he wants everyone on Liberty to be, armed in the classroom and all that stuff. And I could see Jerry Falwell Jr. getting more and more into politics as this election cycle has gone on. And I didn't want to believe that it would happen, but it has. So officially, he's endorsed Trump to be our next president.
Well, I want to say this. Trump tweeted, "Great honor, Reverend Jerry Falwell Jr. of Liberty University, one of the most respected religious leaders in our nation, has just endorsed me." But the truth is Falwell's not even a minister. I mean, Junior is not pastor, minister, reverend, none of that. So for me, that's a horrible tweet with lies entailed in it. And he is not, I would assume, the most respected religious leader in our country by far. Just because he's the president of a university who identifies as Christian does not make him a religious leader. It makes him probably a good collegiate business person.
Right.
Which probably why he identifies with Trump, because it's all about the business.
See, I didn't even know who this guy was until you just said president of Liberty University.
Really?
I was like, holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
That really took me aback. I mean, having him speak, it was kind of like a foreshadowing of the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I just never thought he was going to be explicitly like, hey, I'm pro-Trump. And especially as a minister, that's a fine line you got to walk with politics.
Even Franklin Graham has said he's not going to come out and support any. And Franklin Graham posts some really out there stuff.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And the thing for me is that, Cruz in the past year, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, and Ben Carson have all spoken at Liberty within the past, I think, year.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders spoke at Liberty, too.
Yeah, he did. And Cruz actually launched his campaign at Liberty.
Right, that people were forced to go to.
Yeah. Well, I meant anything at Liberty you're kind of forced to go to.
Exactly.
Unless you're an online student, which makes it all the much better. Look, Liberty's a good school as far as academics go, and it's a tough curriculum if you're into that area of your life. But I don't think I could actually go and be a campus student at Liberty. I'm sorry. Is that bad to say?
Couldn't watch R-rated movies.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh, forbid you can't watch R-rated movie. Well, I guess we can't watch Passion of the Christ. But there's a PG-13 version of it. You can check it out at any time. Jeez, come on, man. Get real.
There's a lot of schools I couldn't go to.
Yeah.
I'm going to water down the crucifixion for you so you don't have to feel that bad.
Yeah, right?
What your sin did to my Jesus, Yeah.
Carolina's one of those places I couldn't go. No, I'm just picking. I think Carolina would be all right school. But Liberty, I don't know. I mean, most Christian universities, I don't think I could go on to the school, but...
Yeah, I'm the same way because they have sort of... Yeah, I'll say it, arbitrary honor codes that add a lot of rules that I don't necessarily agree with. So
I agree.
Shots fired, and I agree.
There you go. But my thing about the whole Trump thing is listen. Everybody who's listened to the podcast for any length of time know that politics and me don't mix. I'm not a big fan of politics. I'm pretty much politically agnostic. I don't care. Do I vote? Only when I think it's necessary, and which is very rare. I believe the system is corrupt, and we have no real say in it. So there you go. Anyways, so my thing about Trump is he is not a very decent human being. So why would you want to support that?
It's funny though. I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that talk politics a lot. But I've yet to meet anyone in person who has told me they supported Donald Trump for president.
That's amazing. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I'll drive everywhere and see "Make America Great Again," Trump. And my favorite one is "You Can't Trump Trump."
Oh, gosh.
That's my favorite sticker. You can't Trump Trump. And I want to rear end these people.
Luckily, here in Boone, we haven't seen that many. I haven't, driving around, seen that many Trump stickers.
Oh no, we're all, well, the campus is 100% on the Sanders train.
Feeling the burn.
Yeah,
we are feeling the burn on campus.
Yeah. I've been researching Bernie a lot just because I'm interested in what his ideas and his political views. So it's interesting. Not that, not to care. I just think it's interesting. Mm-hmm. But down here in the Brunswick County area, all these rich Sea Trail Yankee people, yeah, man, they love them some Trump. Got to protect that money, right?
Man.
I'm related to two people who are voting for Trump this electoral season.
I'm sorry.
So even my dad, which I love my dad so much, if he's listening to this, he knows that we disagree very much on politics. He is very, very far right conservative. But we had a conversation. We watched the Democratic debate together, which was hilarious with his commentary. But he told me he doesn't like any of the Republican candidates. I would repeat what he said about them, but this is a family podcast.
Yeah, it's such a family podcast.
It's not at all, but still.
See, that's the thing though. That's the thing I'm seeing is all of the pretty far right conservatives that I know, and I know a lot. None of them really like Donald Trump at all, and most of them don't really like Ted Cruz either. So right, I'm like, how are these people leading the polls?
It is amazing.
It's ridiculous.
It is. And then again, it could all be just trumped up numbers.
Oh, that's possible too. I mean,
terrible pun.
I actually took you seriously for a second.
No, but I think it's an example of how we need to be politically aware and need to know what these people say and how it affects those around us. Because this election cycle is, I'd say it's one of the most important in a while. But
one of the scariest in a while for me.
I kind of feel this is how I feel.
It's frightening to see how it's developed and how his numbers have just grown with each stupid thing he says.
I'm going to say it just like this. It's whatever's going to happen is already predestined to happen.
Oh, Calvinist.
No. Secret societies and money, baby.
Oh, Illuminati.
I just don't. I think at the end of the day, whoever's going to be there, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a dog and pony show for me. But then again, like I said, whatever.
Right.
But there's got to be better news than that.
Yeah, there's more news in the Christian circle. Actually, today was an announcement from good old Mark Driscoll that he is starting up a new church called the Trinity Church.
Wait.
In Phoenix, Arizona.
Are you saying this is good news?
No, I don't think it's at all.
Well, do you think he's okay? Let's back up. So for some people who are not now, see, this is the area of news that I'm a part of.
Yes.
I don't care about the politics, but good old church gossip, I love it.
So let me ask you guys.
Yes.
Do you think he is reformed?
Reformed from his ways.
I thought that was funny.
I thought it was very funny. I mean, his book, what is it? Confessions of a Reformed Church Planner. Mm-hmm. Was that it? Reformed Church Planner. I think that was his book. One of his first books. Yeah. But Mark Driscoll was the pastor of Mars Hill who kind of, basically started the overnight sensation of Mars Hill in Seattle area in the Washington State area, which blew up, became this super huge mega church, many campuses, and to everybody's well, maybe not to everybody's, surprise, he eventually shot himself in the foot by the way he acted in his ways of, I guess, leading the church and doing things, and eventually did he resign or was he booted?
That's kind of like asking, was Nixon impeached or didn't he? Like,
That's why I asked the question, because I feel he was booted.
He was on the way out,
Yeah.
and he resigned.
I feel he was booted, and
Yeah.
He was pretty much.
From the sites that I was researching before this segment, and they were very anti-Driscoll, and they were very, very biased. They said that he resigned.
Yes.
And what was it, like the deacons or the church body that was a part of the pastoral accountability? They didn't state that they wanted him to resign.
Yeah, exactly.
They said his behavior wasn't warranted, that he should be kicked out.
Right.
Just be corrected. But he decided to resign anyway, and then he's kind of gone under the radar for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone under gone under the radar in some regards, but he's still speaking at like huge conferences
Yeah, he
and
keeps popping
writing
up,
and publishing things, and so he's not like laying super low.
Yeah.
yeah, and the funny thing is that I heard some commentary probably about between 6 and 8 months ago, that a couple of people were very upset with him, saying I'm ready to get back in this thing,
right.
and this wasn't announcing the church, but that he's still doing all these things, and where everybody thought he needed to go into this place of, I don't know, restoration, kind of go through this accountability process to kind of get back in the mindset before he's going out there pastoring a church again, because
right.
of not just the mistakes, but just I just call it very bad decision making and inappropriate leadership.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I think Driscoll's probably one of the, like, when it comes to like teaching the Bible, like,
he is one of the most gifted speakers that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
He can exegete the crap out of some scripture.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I've seen him in person and listened to him. I'm like, man, this dude's amazing. But there's this outlying factor that just kind of gets you, and you're just like, I love what he's saying, but at the same time, I hate what he's saying.
Right.
The whole delivery process, and that I'm going to yell at you until until I'm blue and red in the face. It was weird, but then hearing that, okay, here's the Trinity Church, and we're going to launch this in Phoenix, which is, a totally different change. A total change of scenery for him.
Right. Well, I mean, it kind of had to be.
Well, I don't think
he could start up anywhere near Seattle or Portland or any of those areas.
No, I think the Northwest was done for him. Now he's in the Southwest. Is there any I don't know, need to say more? That this is going to be an interesting thing. I think the crazy thing was that you had mentioned that Josh McDowell was he's on the prayer team.
Yeah.
Of this new venture, which is pretty interesting. That's going to be, if any, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Josh McDowell sometimes either. So,
right.
I mean,
I'm in the same boat. So
toss it up. But that's some very interesting news. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's just, it seems like really soon after Mars Hill basically imploded. And there doesn't seem to be, and I know a lot of Christians will say this, and it sounds very Christianese to say this, but there doesn't seem to be like repentance for what has happened in the past.
Exactly.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of remorse or like, I'm sorry.
No, I
like,
totally
these
agree.
are the things I did wrong, and I am sincerely sorry, and I repent of these things, and I'm working through. There was none of that, at least that I saw. And last time I read, I don't think there was anything like that, and that's the fact that he's just starting up something new, and that there's not going to be any sort of mention within the Trinity Church about Mars Hill. I feel like that would be like a banned phrase.
Yeah,
from there.
I agree.
It seems really shady and wrong. Is the best way I can describe it. I don't know. I don't know his heart. I don't know what's going on between him and God, or him and people around him. I don't know him personally, so I can't make that sort of moral judgment. But just from an outside perspective looking in on what has happened over the past few years, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, and I'll say this too as we get ready to finish up, that whatever happens there, we will know. And because he is a spotlight figure, and
absolutely,
it will not go unnoticed no matter what he does.
Right.
So I hope, and I may even sincerely pray, that it turns out to be something totally different than Mars Hill, because I think he could be as far as speaking and promoting, the word, he does have a very serious gift there.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say we should lift him up in prayer before anything else. If he is called to do this, and being a pastor is, a pastor being a very serious role, where you have to rely completely on the Word of God.
Yes.
He's in that position, and if he is being a good steward of what God's saying, we have to, we as, I hate saying it like this, but you know what, screw it. Well, we as one body, we as a church, we as an organism, as a bride, all a part of the same body. It's our responsibility to lift them up. We can't, just talk crap. And I know none of us really did. We didn't really, say anything bad about it. We're being cautious like we should. But if he is hearing this on behalf of God to start a church, we should keep that ministry in prayer.
Yes. And with very wise words, we'll be back in a moment for Meat and Potatoes. And welcome back. That was Our Last Night, A World Divided, off the Younger Dreams album from 2015. A lot of 2015 stuff we've been doing here lately.
That's right.
Not the fact that it's just last year, but I guess it's just important to make sure we don't forget what was out there and was good. And I actually stumbled upon this, not literally stumbledupon.com, but stumbled upon it while I was browsing Spotify today.
Browning the World Wide Web.
Yes. Yes. I was on Spotify and I was like, man, who's this band? I was like, man, that's nice. I like it. So I don't know. Yeah. I just thought it'd be interesting to play something a little bit different. I guess
it's really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, I've been listening to them for about 6 years now.
Oh, okay.
And,
wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, music snob. No.
Yeah, Ghost Among Us, that's probably the best album they ever released. It was one of their first.
It was pretty good.
You guys missed that.
But I listened to it today. It was good. I'm gonna get
Yeah. And they're actually brothers, the guitarist and the guitarist / clean vocalist and the screamer that actually does a lot of cleans now in the albums. I was fortunate enough to see them on Warped Tour, and they kill it live. They sound just like they do on CD, and they're talented musicians and or singers.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm glad that we got to play them tonight on the show. It was amazing.
I love them.
Yes, that was good. I will be listening to them a lot here for the next few weeks. But tonight, we enter into the dark, scary world of a mind that has, no ends.
De bandera del muchacho se la dio con dos amigos. I just want to point out, your wife tagged me in a post on Facebook. And
that was amazing.
It was, I can't even remember who it was. It was Michael Bloomberg, I think. And he was like speaking Spanish or something. Uh-huh. And I was a little offended because she was comparing it to me in that clip we had there. And I think I did a much better job than he did.
But it was so similar. If you don't know, find me on Facebook. You can find the clip. Jimmy Fallon, one of his monologues this past week, had it in it. It was pretty good. But yes, Mr. Keith.
Yes.
Tonight he will be the only Keith.
Yes.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Could we roll the theme for story time with Keith?
Oh, would we like that?
Please.
Just because it makes him red every time.
If y'all had forgotten that segment existed, tonight it is story time about Keith.
Wow. How exciting.
So tonight, we've had a kind of running theme with questions for the past week.
Would you rather?
So we're going to start out with that, and I have a few.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up a couple myself.
All right. Just don't go on the same website.
Don't worry, he's not on the same website.
You'd be surprised.
So we're going to do some random stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Keith, would you rather?
I hope you know I'm going to criticize every single one of your choices.
I probably deserve it.
Yes.
Have your hair perfect every day, but wear sweats all the time. Or wear nice clothes every day with your hair in a ponytail all the time.
Okay, hold on. I have to think. No, I don't have to think. Hair in a ponytail. Yeah, okay. That seems more geared towards women because more women would have ponytails. But if my hair was long enough for a ponytail, I think I could deal with the ponytail a lot better than the sweats. Sweats are awful.
Yeah, this is definitely...
Could I chime in?
Go ahead. Yes,
all right. Would you rather eat only roadkill for the rest of your life, or have everyone else in the world sound like Gilbert Gottfried?
Oh God, I would like both of those things. I mean, I can cook the roadkill, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, let's be friendly.
And can I scout my own roadkill, or like, am I allowed to pick and choose my roadkill?
Yeah, yeah. I'll be generous.
Okay, yeah, roadkill, definitely. Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with possums, raccoons, deer. You make some great food out of that. So yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. Would you rather poop your pants on a date, or have your date poop their pants?
No, yeah, it's not my girlfriend, is it? It's just a date, right?
It's a date.
Okay, then I would much rather them poop their pants, because then they can be embarrassed and we'll never speak again. Because sorry, ain't coming back from that.
All right, I've got another one for you. Would you rather have taste buds on your butthole, or poop through your mouth?
It's really a very similar thing, right? I guess I would rather have it on my butthole because you would have awful breath if it came out of your mouth. I mean, at least you would have to taste it, but that's the only difference. Otherwise, yeah, much better.
All right.
Would you rather have fingernails as hair, or have hair as fingernails?
Oh, hair is fingernails. You could trim that. Trim, pluck, wax. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. This is right up here. Have super hairy hands and never shave. Only bathe twice a year.
When we say bathe, Is that like full on? Like, am I allowed to go in water otherwise, or is it like
only bathe twice a year? No body submersion in water twice a year.
Like, can I wipe?
No sponge baths.
What was the first thing?
Have really hairy hands and never shave.
Never shave the hands?
Never shave the hands.
I'm going to go with the hairy hands, I think. I mean, can I wax them?
No.
It doesn't say I can't wax them.
You can trim them too.
Oh, I could trim them. Yeah, hands. Yeah, definitely hands.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I've got one. Would you rather, Keith, go through life with a perpetual cold sore on your mouth? Or
Glad you said mouth.
okay, sorry. I thought about the previous question with the taste buds and where that would be. Or go through life with a booger hanging from your nose.
Oh, cold sore, man. Cold sore. You can cover those things up. Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, people get them. It doesn't mean you have been, No, the boogers are worse, though.
It's an STD.
Well, it can be sexually transmitted, but it can be transmitted in other ways.
Oral transmission. Yeah. Sorry, I love saying that.
Yeah, but boogers are grosser to me than that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do it.
Okay.
God.
Here, go ahead.
for it.
Go ahead, David.
All right, now.
He had to ask permission, so it must be awful.
Hopefully, hopefully my church never listens to this.
I can read it if you want me to.
No. I'll do it.
Lord.
I'll disguise my voice like Justin. No. Okay. What would you rather?
Oh, God.
Watch your parents have sex every day for the rest of your life. Or join in once to stop it.
That's the worst would you rather ever.
I don't think I
learned something about you.
I don't think I can answer that. Oh, God.
I'm gonna call pass.
Can I pass?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to answer that either.
If I can pass, I would like to pass.
I'll let you pass.
Thank you. God. Oh.
That's the worst question I have ever heard.
It started out bad enough, and then when he read the second part, it was just like, who thinks of this stuff, man?
All right, well, I'll finish on a lighter note. Last would you rather fart 10 times louder than usual, or have a silent fart but have it smell 10 times worse?
No, that would totally depend on where I was at the time.
It's all kosher.
It was one flatulence that's 10 times louder, or one flatulence that's silent but 10 times smellier. Okay. That would be situational. If I was at home, I would rather it be louder. But if I was like in public, I would do the smelly one, because no one could tell. I would know, but yeah.
Gosh, man, I always want them loud. Thank you for the Would You Rather segment of our question, Tom. Thank you, Keith, for being a good sport. Yes, you survived.
I don't know how.
So let's start off with a not so serious question.
Okay.
Because the rest were totally serious.
I don't know about you guys, but I really wanted to know the answer.
And not so serious as in it's not goofy, but it's not like, you have always pledged your love to the University of North Carolina Tar Heels.
Heart the sound, yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that was indoctrinated in you? Or was that something you grew to love? I know it sounds silly for most people, but this is an interesting question for me.
That's a good question. It's probably a mix of both. It wasn't really indoctrinated in the way you would typically think about it being indoctrinated. I mean, my dad loves watching Carolina basketball, but he's not a diehard. So, I mean, it's not like he was always like crazy about it.
So you took it a whole nother level.
Yeah, no. When I was young, I didn't really have super true allegiances, but we always watched Carolina when Carolina would play. We didn't always watch anyone else. So I kind of grew into it, and really, it's funny. One of the earliest memories I have is actually the '93 national championship game. I don't remember anything that happened while I was watching it, but I do remember it being on. So that's a pretty cool memory. That of course is the Chris Webber timeout game.
Yes. I remember.
But about the time I started really getting interested in sports and in basketball in particular, even though I love Carolina football, but it started with basketball. It was probably about the time, late 90s, so end of the Antoine Jamison era. This is like just post Dean Smith. This is the Bill Guthridge era. Yeah. So it had some really great players. Joseph Forte, again, into the Antoine Jamison era. But it was also kind of a transitional time. Vince Carter was still there for a year also, I believe.
Right.
It was a transitional time, but it was a great time to become involved because it wasn't a bandwagon time at that time. Right. It was you had ups and downs. It was a rough time. Yeah, I mean there was like, okay, Final Four in 2000, and then Guthridge leaves, and then the Matt Doherty era, and oh god,
that was bad.
The 2000.
If he can survive that year, then
yeah, it was pretty awful. But so then it kind of grew back when Roy came along. But no, I love Carolina. I love everything about Carolina. I love going to Chapel Hill. I love visiting. I just love the place, and it's a little bit of both because part of it was kind of just left there for me, and then part of it was like me just growing into it. So that
I know they might not like the answer, but I like the answer. Thank you.
I like the answer. I just didn't care for the question.
Well, and the reason I ask is because I'm a Duke fan, and this is the most bitter rival when it comes to especially college basketball. Yeah. So that's why I asked. Because, see, in my household, everybody was a Carolina fan.
Smart people.
Yeah. See, my earliest memory of college basketball was 1982 championship.
Oh.
So
great year.
Yeah, it was
by the way.
Yeah, it was a great year. But, that was my question because, a lot of people I see grow up, they're so and the funny thing is because just like religion, people are indoctrinated into these belief systems in the way they live, and it's like, did you ever come to it on your own? So it's just a question.
It was a good question. I liked it.
Yeah.
That was the away to Worthy game.
Yeah.
The away to Worthy / Jordan with the first the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well,
what do you have there, David?
Would you rather? Let's see. So, man, what do you do on your phone the whole time?
Oh gosh, that's a question.
So people can't see like how we record or whatever, but every single week, almost for the entire podcast, Keith is just looking down at his phone, and will just raise his head up to say a little snot comment every once in a while, which is why I yell at him so much.
It depends. I do a lot of stuff on that thing.
A lot of Snapchat.
Yeah, a lot of Snapchat with a couple of different people, one person in particular, and then some Insta. Some Fresh, Instagram, a little bit of the Twitter every now and then. Sometimes I'll do some shopping actually on Amazon.
You're actually pretty productive.
Yeah.
Well, and
hey, I listen though. I do listen.
And I'll say, I had a kid in youth many years ago that when she was always on her phone and she was always playing games on her phone and I was like, I don't. And I took her aside one night. I was like, hey, I don't want to call you out in class, this, that, and the other, but what's up? Why ain't you listening? She goes, oh, I'll listen. And she kind of repeated everything back to me that I said that night. And I said, oh, she goes, it's just the only way I can focus, because, and sometimes she didn't have her phone. She was drawing, she was writing, but she could hear everything. And it was that I'm kind of like that in certain areas of my life where I have to have something else going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all are the same way, but sometimes you got to have that other thing going on so you can concentrate in that one area. And when I'm the same way when I was in churches, I'd read like 3 or 4 pages while the dude was preaching. I hear everything he say to help me focus, but because if I stare at him and listen to him, 5 minutes I'm asleep.
Yep.
So I don't know. So that's why I don't get on with so much. But I know Justin loves to throw you under the bus.
Throw some shade my way. Yeah, and there might be a little bit of that in there. I'd never thought about it until you just said it. But I do that a lot because if I just like sit and try to listen and like stare off into space, I that's when I lose it. I'm like, what happened? What time is it?
Way to make me feel like a jerk about yelling.
No, I mean, it may be distracting. Like I may be distracted sometimes when I'm on here, but yeah, I do try to listen, and I usually listen pretty well.
All right.
So, I know that you are a musician and that you play and you have played a lot on a lot of stages around the world. But what is your favorite memory on stage and what is your least favorite?
Oh, jeez. That's gosh, wow. I have to search my brain now. I don't have anything that's super glaring either way.
Okay. It's all sort of been just even.
Every time he played with me with his greatest memory on stage.
We did have some fun though.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Doing praise band stuff with youth can be fun at times.
Yeah, and he can be horrible at other times.
And I really like not doing the same thing all the time because it gets old when I have just one thing. So like singing all the time, I don't like to be singing every time I'm doing something or just playing one instrument. So we used to have a lot of fun, particularly one time I'm thinking of when I was playing mostly electric guitar, I think, at that point. But then we switched it up, and I think I might have sang once, and then I played the drums for a song when we were doing youth rally or something?
Yeah.
And we just, that's fun to me, when it's kind of relaxed and you can just fool around and just do whatever, but still like kind of focus on playing good music. That's what I really enjoy. And that's like now, most of the time when I'm playing in churches with my family and with the group that we have, I get really bored if it's like super constant, the same thing all the time, and it can be. So I end up playing like 3 or 4 different instruments during a set because just playing the guitar the whole time is just, it's kind of like that focus thing. It's like, I just feel like I'm doing the same thing, man. And there's not a whole lot of variety in the music itself, so it's like, and my brother plays guitar primarily also when we're playing, so there's a lot that you can do with 2 guitars, but there's only so much. So if there's not really a place to play leads, I get super bored playing rhythm all the time, and he's playing rhythm too, and that doesn't really make for good variety in the music. Having 2 rhythm parts that are essentially the same is just really boring and flat and dull. So like some songs I may play the mandolin or the banjo if it calls for it. So wow, we got really sidetracked from the question.
No, you're fine.
But I will speak some to like worst things happening. It's always bad when you screw up words, and I've done that a couple of times. It's great when you can hide it, though. Like, I remember I was playing for this was actually not that long ago. It was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was playing for a production that the local high school was putting on. I'd actually been a part of it when I was in high school, and the guy who was directing it asked me to come back and do a song for them that was a part of the same production. It was actually Fire and Rain by James Taylor, and I played it several times over the years, many times. And one of the nights, because there were 2 nights, I think there was 1 show one night and 2 shows the second night. I think it was the second night, the first show. I totally screwed up the second verse. I got the second and third verses mixed up, and I've done that before on other songs, but that is really terrifying when you get halfway through and you realize, oh my God, I just screwed this song that everybody knows up, and they're going to know about it. Yeah. And you just kind of keep going with it. It's horrifying.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a similar experience, not to take away from your answer, but I remember it was actually me and Keith. We were playing at this one church, and we had practiced this one song like over and over again. And me and Keith had a little small tour where we went around churches and playing and singing. And there was this one church we went to, and we practiced this song so much. And we get there and we start playing. Everything's fine, but apparently the version that the rest of the congregation knew, there was like a small break in between like one of the words, and they had the break and we didn't, and so like we kept singing, and then they were like breaking, and then that threw me off, and then that threw Keith off, and we totally butchered that song because every time we hit the chorus, no one was on the same page.
Oh man,
it was like
that's dreadful.
You were leading the song and they are singing with you, but they are intent on not singing the way you're singing
the way
it.
you sing it.
And I'm like,
exactly.
It's like, get out of your mold.
It was so bad, so I had to do like a little prayer afterward, be like, God, even though like, we're only tools of you, and we don't always play our best and stuff, you still hear our worship.
Come on, those are the best prayers, dude.
Oh man, that's great though.
We're always praying, God, it's all about you, and this shows you how imperfect we really are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I played it off like that.
Oh my God!
And eventually, you get used to crap going wrong because once it happens enough, you just learn to expect it. So it's like you don't stress quite as much. And what's really great is if you're somewhere where you don't know anybody.
Oh yeah,
that is the best because you don't care. Yeah. Or at least for me, I mean, I don't care when I know people and I'm like, that person has heard me sing many times, or that's a really good friend, or I know them from work. That is when it starts to freak you out a little bit because you're like, oh, I really want to do well and I want to do my best. Absolutely. These people know me. But when there's no one that knows you, it's like, oh, no pressure. Thank God.
Right, exactly.
I am the king of breaking strings mid-song.
Oh yes,
I remember
same that whatever it was a youth rally or something. I don't remember what it was.
Was it the week was it at summertime?
Yes, it was.
That's what it was.
You broke your strings, and me and someone went back and changed them for you. I don't remember who that was. It was Wesley. Yeah. Me and Wesley went and ran to the other room and.
Yeah, you remember that? You were there too, Justin.
Yeah, I was there too.
Gosh, and I had 3 different guitars. And broke strings on all 3 of them in consistent back-to-back songs. That just blows my mind.
Good times, man.
Yeah, good times. Yep. So, on top of that music question that Justin had, I got a question that I want to tie into that. Now, you talk about the family, and I've seen you and your family on stage and singing, which was probably one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen because Keith, I've known Keith for quite a few years to this point. But I really didn't know that he was in this, like, I don't want to call it Southern gospel, but
that's a way. Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah, but that's the easiest way to describe it.
So he's in this music group, and I'm used to playing with him, and he's playing electric and drums and stuff, so it's a little more upbeat and more contemporary. And then he jumps on the stage just one Sunday morning. They're at church, and he's singing. The first time I see him, and I'm like, wow.
That's different.
That is very different. But do you enjoy, I know you enjoy all types of music, but is that something because y'all have recorded a few CDs, I know. Y'all have had a few recorded, and you've been in the studio quite a bit with your family. Is that something you would like to continue to do in that environment, or would you like to get away from music in that environment totally, or do something totally different on a higher level?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I do enjoy it. It's interesting because when I joined, and then when my brother joined, it changed a lot because it brought a lot of what we like to play into it. A lot more acoustic, a little more bluegrass oriented, although what is bluegrass these days anyway? But
I don't know. No.
I think, honestly, I would like to do something a little more toned down overall. A little more folk related, a little more bluegrass related. I've thought about it, recording some solo things. And if I do that, it would probably be more acoustic. It would be a little more simple. A lot of the music I listen to right now is very bare bones as far as the instrumentation. And I really enjoy what you can do with raw strings. Like right now, I've been listening to a lot of old Nickel Creek stuff. Nickel Creek is a band. They actually came out with a new album last year. But it's a band, a threesome who records and plays with also a bass player. They feature particularly mandolin, Chris Thiele, probably the best mandolin player in the world right now. And then Sarah Watkins and Sean Watkins, they play fiddle or violin and guitar. And they base everything around that. And then Chris Thiele's other band, who I listen to a lot, the Punch Brothers, they're a similar type thing, a little more driven, a little more out there, a little more indie rockish, but it's acoustic. So it's really interesting to hear. But that's really kind of what I like right now. And then I also listen to a lot of older stuff, older folk and older softer rock. So like when I'm at work, if I'm not listening to maybe Nickel Creek radio, I might be listening to like James Taylor radio on Pandora, because I love James Taylor. So I really like what you can do toned down. I'm not in a place where I like a whole lot of big stuff right now. Occasionally I'll turn on some heavy stuff in my car, some old Under Oath or some ABR or something, some Devil Wears Prada or something, but I really would like to move that way, probably.
Cool. Very interesting. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I'm at different points too. I know Justin. I know you mentioned the Punch Brothers. We played them on the show, and
yeah. They play here in Boone all the time. Yeah, they've been here like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So
great band.
Yeah, good band. I do like them. I catch them because I have them on the show list, and which I need at some point to like promote that show list for Spotify somewhere for people to listen to. But it's interesting because, like I said, when I saw you that first time, I'm like, wow. And
it's different.
and the funny thing is that I've always heard you play, drums and, sing a little bit, but that was the first time that, your voice was showcased. And that when I was like, wow, man, he can, he can really sing too. Because, when Justin said Keith is a musician, it's like, it's different from most musicians that I know too.
Right.
Because Keith is the type of person that can hear and play it, like not just play by ear, but he can pick up the notes and, like, here, Keith, I need you to play this lead. He goes, well, let me hear it. And he'll sit there and mess for a few minutes. And then all of a sudden he's playing this lead on the guitar. And I'm like, that is like one of the most amazing gifts that I would want that I don't have. I have a horrible ear, but I love to play. I love to play instruments. I don't have the ear to hear things that well. And it amazes me to see somebody else do that at that level. And it's like, man, I'm thinking, man, if I had your talents and gifts, man, what would I do with that craziness? It blows my mind. It's like, we have good friends. We had Bobby Dagnese, who was been on the show with us. Amazing drummer. I mean, here, listen to this, Bobby. And then in a minute, he's playing it on the drums. Now, I've never heard David play the drums, so I don't know how good he is. But Bobby, I've known for years. And just see people have those talents and gifts. It blows my mind to go, so at night, when you kind of think about all the things that you can be doing and the things that you are doing, do you ever feel like that, you would really like to take a step back and focus on those things that are like truly gifted talents?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you think that all the time. And it can be a little bit conflicting because, I have a regular 8 to 5 job that I've actually progressed in. So it looks like it's a career at this point. So, like, what do you do when you really feel like, oh man, I really wish I could play music for a living? And the interesting thing is, when you think about that, it's like, well, what would I do? Because there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
It's like, well, do you start a project? Or a really, really, really fascinating thing to me is studio playing. There's a surprisingly large demand for it. And there's a few guys who really kind of work in an area.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of work and they make their livings off of it, and they make very good money doing it. Even around here, there are a few studios within 2 or 3 hours driving distance that I've been to. And you'll see the same cats over and over again. And you'll get to know them. Actually, a great studio player, a bass player, actually lives in this area. A guy by the name of Frank, and he's just a fantastic player. And I've played with him many times.
Mills?
Yeah, man.
I know Frank.
Oh,
man.
he's a
awesome.
character.
Yeah. I like Frank.
But you'll meet guys, and you're just like, wow. That's the dream.
Yeah.
Because they show up at 10 o'clock. And someone at the studio usually brings some food. They'll have some donuts set up, and then they'll just go play for just hours. They'll take a lunch break. They'll play again. They'll usually get done 6 or 7 o'clock. If it's, depending on what kind of music it is, if it's a more systematic music, country, bluegrass, things like that, gospel, you'll come in, you'll play off of charts written in number system, Nashville number system. And it's really fascinating. I held that F out really long. It's really fascinating to see because you'll know a song because it'll be familiar stuff. It'll be maybe a hymn or something. And then you'll look at the chart, and they'll talk about it for a little while, and whoever's tracking drums will count off, and they do it together. So it's not like when you see a band, a behind the scenes making of this album. It's not like that at all.
Right.
Where they'll have an idea, and so one person will track a part. They might track a guitar part for a song, and they'll say like, okay, they'll get that kind of down, and then someone will do some drum tracking, or someone will do some bass tracking. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
These guys, they come in, they talk about it, they have their chart, they write some little edits on it. They decide a key. They decide if they're going to do any modulations, any key changes, where they're going to do that, and then they do a run, and then they record. And then if they need to layer some parts, they might do that. Or if they need to fix a part, they'll do that. But that's it. I mean, they'll be done with a song tracking in like 20 minutes, and it's super fascinating to see. And that's something that I always thought I would love to do because that's just really cool.
No, I agree. I wish I had the ability to do something like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to the music behind the scenes.
Yeah, right.
I'm fascinated by that stuff too. That's why I was hoping that we could have some good questions about music, because I know there's a podcast that I know me and Justin do listen to. I don't know about y'all, but the Break It Down podcast, Matt Carter, and and hearing him break down music and tracking and recording and how they do it and all the different things they do, it's like I love the technical side of music because that's the only part that I do have. The technicality of it, I can learn that. I can read the charts. I can kind of put that to the music, but I don't have that freedom to, I guess, embellish or edit something on the fly through ears. Mm-hmm. That's something that's amazing to me as well. But all that, I mean, everything you said, I'm like, yeah, I'm digging it, dude. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm down.
It's cool.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about, you're dealing with music, mm-hmm. and, how that, kind of plays in your life. Now, your faith, of course, being on this show, majority of us, most of us are Christians here.
Right.
And we know you are as well. Mm-hmm. How has your influence in music, or the influence of music on your life, played a part with your faith in growing that? I think that's interesting for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a very, very good question. The answer is it's in constant flux. That's the easiest way to sum it up. Music and faith have such an interesting relationship with each other, especially within the Christian church. There's so many different kinds of music. There's so many roles of music. When you go to a different church, when you go to a different group, you might hear different music. You might hear music played differently. You might hear it played at different times. There's so much going on there. And it can be tough at times because as you grow in your faith, if you're like me, you may be really used to hearing certain types of music, and you may be really used to listening to certain songs and certain bands and certain albums, certain recordings. And at some point, you kind of realize that not all of this is beneficial. I can think of a couple of really popular bands in particular. I'll still occasionally listen to their stuff, but when I realize some of the theological differences that I have with what they're saying, you kind of distance yourself from it, maybe unintentionally.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So music and faith, they're constantly moving around, I guess,
Right.
for me. Music has influenced my faith, whether it be lyrically, whether it be songs, like hearing the words and really digesting those and kind of applying them to myself, or thoughts being provoked by them. Hymns are great for that. Just thinking about the words and thinking about the place that the person who wrote that was in, and really meditating on it, I guess you could say. It not necessarily an intentional meditation, but really just thinking about it. It helps you to understand certain things a little bit better. And really, it's great, particularly with hymns, because to me, they're some of the most raw expressions of faith and of what goes on in faith. So like when you take It Is Well, My Soul, it's a great classic hymn written by a guy named Horatio Spafford, who I believe it was his wife and his son. It was either both of them, or it may have been just his wife, were killed in a shipwreck.
Yeah.
And he was inspired to write the song when he was traveling over the Atlantic, and they were actually over the place where they thought the shipwreck had occurred.
Right.
And it's interesting to hear that story, and then read those lyrics, and it gives a whole new meaning to the song, because it's not just words anymore.
Right.
It means something.
Right.
Despite this tragedy, still it is well with my soul.
Yeah.
And then the way he relates that to faith, and he talks about his sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought, my sin not in part but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. It is well with my soul. So the way it builds, I just love examples like that.
Right.
So you have music influencing your life, and then you also, your faith, that is, your life in faith. And then you have your faith influencing music, and how you think about music. Because there's some songs that I used to love, and I used to be way into this band, and I love this. And then you're like, well, I don't really know if I love this anymore, because faith has brought me to a different place.
Let me add on to that, or a question to that. Are you meaning that, your faith turns you away from certain, music because it's not related to your faith, or is it inside the faith? Like he was talking about people who have, let's just throw it out there. There are different people, like, you have the Hillsong Church, and then you have and then you have Jesus Culture, who comes from the IHOP Church, and Bethel, and and then you have, Gaithers, who are, Deep Southern Baptists, and you have all these different types of denominationally charged groups.
Right.
Are you speaking more towards that, or more just towards music in general?
Well, when I originally said it, I was speaking more towards that, towards inside sort of Christianity. But in reality, it's both.
Okay.
Really, what I was thinking of is, well, I don't think you have this right. I don't necessarily agree with these words in this song. So I'm not going to choose that to lead worship with,
Right.
Even though that same band, they might have another song that I'm fine with. And so maybe I'll pick that out every now and then, but I'll still find myself shying away from using their music, in worship settings. But at the same time, speaking about music in general, that's also true, where as my faith changes and my faith grows, I may not want to listen to a certain type of music just because it's not in a good place for me. Right. And that doesn't mean that it's just, okay, I don't listen to music with profanity in it because I'm a Christian. That's not true at all, actually. It depends. But some things just, you have a hard time agreeing with them. Like, you'll hear something and you're just like, wow, that just does not mesh with my faith. That does not mesh with Jesus Christ and his teachings. And sometimes, I may be in a different place and I'll be like super angry or sad or something, and I'll turn on that music because I feel that, So it definitely affects it.
Yeah, and I totally feel the same way. A few years ago, I got really, really jaded with like contemporary Christian music because I would listen to it and it would feel to me like very dishonest. Mm-hmm. A lot of times because we're always singing about how great is our God and how how amazing, like, I'm on fire for you, God. All I want to do is worship you. Yeah. And I was like, no, that's a lie, really. Like, I don't want to do that. Like that goes against everything I want to do. That kind of turned me on to hymns because I didn't really grow up with hymns. But yeah, so now I've kind of come to I think a happy medium between the two where I can recognize the differences and stuff like that. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from there.
And absolutely, you bring up a great point that I didn't really think to bring up. But it's really part of what I mean when I say what I say about my faith affecting how I listen to music within the church or I use music within the church. I got to a place where I'm just really uncomfortable singing songs where you say, I this and I that and I this and I that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, I'm on fire for you. I love you. I will do this for you. I will always praise you, because there's not a lot of honesty in that. If you're being real with yourself, no, it's not about you. Now, I'm not saying you can't say the word I, because there's a lot of really good songs written where you're speaking from a personal level, but when you are glorifying the fact that you're glorifying God, it gets to me sometimes. It's like, it's a very self-centered version of the gospel is what it feels like. And really, the gospel is not centered around man. It's not. It's centered around Christ. We are, oh God, I said this when I was teaching Sunday school this Sunday, and I thought, wow, you are such a cliche, but man is not the subject of the gospel. We're the object, but Jesus Christ is the subject. We're a part of it, but we are not the gospel. We should be, if we are worshiping through music, it should be all about Jesus Christ. And sometimes you'll hear songs and you're just like, wow, that's really more self-gratifying than it is gratifying the Holy Spirit and gratifying Jesus Christ. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. This is waiting for the...
Oh, you're good.
So another question kind of related to faith, because I think we've kind of transitioned from the music to the faith section now. Just curious. I mean, I've known you for a long time, and I've known generally where your beliefs stand. Okay. But if you had to choose one denomination to fit sort of into, or one tradition to fit into, what would be the most accurate and why?
That's kind of easy for me, actually. Okay. And it would be the denomination I'm in now. I'm a Southern Baptist. I'm a member of a Southern Baptist church. Okay. And that can be a little bit difficult to explain.
Okay.
Because what you see in popular culture from the Southern Baptist Church is not necessarily what it's about. Okay. Like we were talking about earlier in the show, a lot of conservatives, Liberty University, the Falwells, are associated with the Southern Baptist Church. Right. But that's not really what the Southern Baptist Church was based upon. Yeah. It is a group that traditionally was more reformed, though in more recent years moved away from that a little bit, although it seems like things are coming back to that. When you see a guy like David Platt is the head of missions for the Southern Baptist Convention, you see, okay, maybe they're getting reformed again.
Right.
but I tend to fall into the belief system, the basic practical beliefs, and I say practical as in everyday practice,
Right.
baptism by submersion, the general ways of worship, the general thoughts and beliefs upon the Holy Spirit, the general thoughts and beliefs upon use of gifts of the Spirit, things like that. I just fall very much in line with that stuff.
Okay.
And it's interesting because, you grow up and you just go to church and you don't think about anything that goes into it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you reach a certain age, you really start questioning things like, do I believe this? Why do I believe this? And for me, I found that I really kind of fit in this denomination. Although I've definitely thought at other times about becoming a member of a different church. I have some great friends who are Presbyterians, and I just think the world of them, and I think the world of what they believe. Honestly, very few differences. Pay to baptism, it's a big one.
Mostly in like church quality and
Yeah, and that's really what I've found for the most part these days, at least. It's all about how you practice.
right.
Like Methodists, they're not hardcore Wesleyans anymore. Some of them are, but for the most part, it's just they're a little bit different in how they practice their beliefs.
Yeah.
So that's how I fall into it. As long as it's not a denomination that falls really hard on some theological things that I disagree with, and there are some denominations that do that, then I'm pretty cool with you. Pretty much mainline. If you're mainline, I'm cool with you.
Makes sense.
All right.
Got a question. Okay, so we know this Jesus guy, and I really like asking this question, but I'm going to ask it differently.
Okay.
I'm going to try to. He touches each of us very differently. He touches different aspects of our lives very personally because he's a personal God. So I would ask, what dimension, what part of Jesus is the most real to you? What dimension do you see him in? Like, what personality trait does he get to you? How does he reach you?
Okay. That's a very interesting question. It's a deep question, but it's a great question because for me, I find myself finding myself lacking. Like that's a constant theme for me. It's like you want to be perfect. You want to be perfect. You push to be perfect. You have to be better and better and better and better and perfect. But you always find yourself lacking. And probably the most comforting thing I can think of when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to faith, when it comes to Jesus Christ himself, is the fact that he is that perfection. It's not the perfection that we can attain. We find perfection in him, not in ourselves. And that's extremely comforting for me because I can't do it, Like, as much as I try, and I still try, I'm not going to lie, I still try, though I really probably should not. I try to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it brings upon you feelings of inadequacy, feelings of failure, feelings of insecurity with yourself, even though people may see you as a perfectly fine guy, as just a normal person. They like being around you. They love you even. But you don't see that because you want yourself to be perfect. So anytime you fall short of that image of perfection, you are just despairing. You're thrown into this pit of just utter, really despair is the best word for it. And I've battled that a little bit in my life. Continue to at times. But part of what the gospel means to me, and this isn't by any means the whole gospel to me, but part of it is
realizing that you kind of suck and that's okay. That's all right. You're not meant to achieve great things by yourself. You are meant to worship and serve a great God who has given himself, really, not just the Son of God, but God himself. Jesus was God. He gave himself as a sacrifice so that we may see salvation and that we may ultimately bring glory to him. That is so, so great to me. And that's really where Jesus touches me the most, is just all of that inadequacy I feel. It's okay because he is what I need. He is everything. So, yeah, that's a great question.
Awesome. That's a great answer, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, let me get that one out of my throat. Let's end with this.
Yes.
Good, serious questions. I just want to, and it's a serious, half not so serious question. Okay. And I know that you are a person who we have talked about because of your faith, you're saving yourself for that wife one day.
True. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Still on it right now.
Which I commend you for that, because in this world it is tough. It is tough.
True, man.
But are you looking? Are you waiting? Or it doesn't matter?
For a person?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no. I'm looking.
all ladies out there, if you want a man who can play any instrument, this is your man.
Let's see. How old am I? I'm 25 now. What year is it? 2016. I've been looking. I'm using my air quotes. You can't see that because it's a podcast and it's audio. But I've been looking for, probably my entire life, maybe 15, 16 years or so. No, and that's tough because that's another thing that I have struggled with. And our good friend Alan, he knows it really well because he's a lot of times the guy that I'll talk to about it. Right. I'll be like, well, God hasn't really promised us a person, right? So like, how do I reconcile this? Like, is there a person out there for me? Like, do I really need to be like actively waiting, or should I be like seeking, or should I be like what if there's no one out there? What if he has me destined to be like unmarried for all of my life? And I would just be like, whoa, calm down. You need to stop. Yeah.
Are you overthinking it a bit?
Yeah, I do that a lot. But no, I would love to be married. In fact, I was having a conversation with another one of my friends who got married really young just the other day, and we were talking about something, and they were like, well, you could have got married when you were 19. And I'm like, I would have loved to have gotten married when I was 19. But things don't happen that way always. So, no, yeah, actively looking. If anyone out there is listening to this, send a pic first. Joking.
Not shallow at all.
Joking. No, hit me up.
What a way to end it.
Yeah, what a way to end it. I've enjoyed our time today with Keith, or tonight, or whatever you want to call it. But thanks for everybody participating, and thank you for your open and honest answers. And we will be back in a minute with our Johnson the Sound segment.
Is this what you came for? To leave me with no choice? Don't you turn your back on me. You say there's a reason. Show me just one reason. That's not an excuse to take your abuse quietly. Every single moment plays over and over. I still feel her hand in mine. Medication offers temporary comfort. I need to heal, I want to still feel alive. Is this the thanks I get for giving you my best?
All right, Devin Shelton bringing us into this segment of the show. Darcy Rumble, that's me, the new voice you're hearing jumping in. That was Across the Ocean. Right, Keith?
Agree to disagree.
Oh, okay. See, you know both songs before.
I switched it on you.
Like, dang, I don't know what we're doing. Anyway, we're bringing it in with Devin Shelton because he just announced not too long ago an Indiegogo campaign to record a solo album. So that one was actually from his 2013 release called Life and Death. And yeah, it's pretty wild that his Indiegogo campaign is just killing it. Basically, what was it? About 3 days it was up, and he was almost at his halfway point.
Yeah, it was
So
crazy.
I knew.
Oh, go ahead.
I knew immediately when I saw this that Keith for sure would be stoked about this because he's a big Emery guy. So give me your thoughts on this, Keith.
I'm pretty stoked about it. When I saw it was the video that they released from where they were doing the acoustic evening sessions. That I know they had just done 3 or 4 or 5 in Texas, and I caught the video and I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, I get to catch a video from the show, but it was actually a promotion for the album that he is getting ready to record, and that, like you said, he has on Indiegogo, and I'm pretty impressed with what I heard. I'm pretty stoked to hear it. I mean, of course, being an Emery fan, Devin's a part of Emery no matter what they say. And,
oh, yeah. He was there for, except for what? One album? He was on all of the Emery albums, basically?
I think, one, or was it 2?
No, it was only one because he was on In Shallow Seas We Sail, and then he wasn't in We Do What We Want.
We Do What We Want. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I didn't even know he had a solo album out at all until they announced this. I'm like, oh, I better go back and listen to his old stuff. So, yeah, I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. Kind of a acoustic-y kind of thing, singer-songwriter. Didn't know really what to expect, but hearing his voice kind of separate from Emery was a whole cool experience. And I could listen to that voice all day.
Yeah.
But the track Cancer, I think that's one that... Well, basically, it's beautiful track from that album, but just breaks your heart at the same time. So
right, that's a tough opening track too. I mean, to open your album with that is interesting. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed his original, or I meant that his 2014, 2013 release.
Yeah, 2013, I think.
So it was a good album, but it was like you kind of missed it. It kind of went under the radar where nobody really knew it was out there. But this one,
like I think I like to think that I keep up with music. I had no idea it even existed.
But the new release though is not going to go under the radar.
No, they've made sure of that.
Yeah, I mean, they did the big production, and then of course he's, Indigo going it out, and of course being produced, or it's going to be published, I guess, produced through Bad Christian Music. Is definitely going to be a big thing because they got a huge following, what it seems like, from the podcast, the website, the blog, and of course, Emery as a whole. People who follow Emery will definitely be picking up this, I'm sure. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was like 3 days in and he was 41% in. I mean, I don't know exactly where he's at now. But he is, I mean, I guess if you got the right push, anything will do well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so it's cool just reading a little bit more about the campaign. He says that demos for this album are done. He's going to do some pre-production with Matt Carter, his bandmate in Emery, and Chad Gardner from King's Kaleidoscope, which is pretty rad.
That's cool.
It's going to do some recording through this spring, and hopefully we'll have it released this summer. And one thing I really like is that they describe the music style as Devonish, which is smooth indie rock and R&B. So I think my iTunes needs a Devonish album.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I'm kind of stoked just to see how much is he going to, be himself, and how much of his Emery influence is going to come through it. That's kind of what I'm wanting to see.
Yeah, and now being like a dad of 2 young kids and a little bit of separation from Emery and really being, on tour and in the spotlight and stuff, I guess he said it's time to kind of come back and get back out there and writing some songs. So it'll be interesting kind of, as a dad and a family man, see if that influences his songwriting or, just his style a little bit more. So looking forward to that. And He says he's going to be doing some acoustic Emery shows. Keith, what are the odds that one of these days we see an Emery house show at your place?
Man, if I could figure out how to fit 40 people in my house and get them to play, bro, it'd be on. I mean, it'd be over. If I can find a place in this area that could hold it, that they would allow me to do it in, it'd probably be done. I mean, just legitimately. Because I would love it. I mean, like, this room that you see that I'm in, I turned it into, like, let's put some cots up. Y'all homies can sleep up in here. I don't care. We'll do something. I'll find somebody who's got a beach house, man, and we'll just, hey, can I borrow your beach house for the weekend? We'll go put them up and treat them right. I don't know. I would absolutely love to do a living room show up here.
That would be wild. See, I would love to host stuff like that. The problem is I rent a basement apartment, so I got a lot of people to get the okay with.
Yeah,
neighbors upstairs wouldn't be too down with that.
Not with crazy people who come to an Emery show. Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, yeah, if anybody's interested in that, I guess if you could throw a link on the show notes, Keith, that'd be awesome. Also, you can check out DevinSheltonMusic.com to get a little more info on that. And, yeah, even if you can't support right now, he says just super appreciates people sharing the link around and getting the word out a bit. And, of course, you can always just pick up the album later on when it drops in the summer. Absolutely. And so there's another band I wanted to chat about for a second. They're super cool guys. I don't even remember how I stumbled across this band. Just clicking around on Facebook. They're called Reconcera. They're a band from St. Louis, Missouri. Metalcore kind of band. Not like your, I don't know. I hate to say metalcore because a lot of it's all kind of sounding the same. But, you got your super heavy stuff, also clean vocals and things mixed in there. But what's super cool about this band is they're fully independent. So they produced and recorded their first album, an EP that they put out 2 years ago, did everything absolutely on their own. The guitars built a studio in the garage, and it actually sounds super professionally done for that. And so they just dropped their debut full-length album on December 11th, and I had the opportunity to talk to the vocalist Josh Smith, super rad guy. And he told me a little bit about just what the full-length album is all about. He said it's kind of split into two parts. Anyway, I'll let him explain it. We've got a little clip from that interview. The album's called Absolve, Vindicate, and here's Josh.
The best way to put it is the album's actually split into two parts. Part one is Absolve, and then part two is Vindicate. Absolve talks about, it all centers around a person who's in an extremely broken and dark place in their lives. And basically, Absolve talks about how this person wants to rid themselves from this lifestyle, this path they're going down, and they want to get out of it. And it kind of talks about, the cleansing and walking away from it, no matter how painful it is or how hard it is. And Vindicate talks about kind of this pathway to victory of how this character learns to finally love him or herself and their God, So everything's all about, it's just centered around love.
All right. So, yeah, super interesting chat with that guy. Usually, when people say it's kind of a concept record, I get a little bit skeptical. But, yeah, I've listened through all this, and it's super cool. I like how they've kind of kept a theme and gone right through it. So like he said, the first 6 tracks follow the Absolve kind of theme. And the second half kicks off with the song Crucify that they just released a music video for, which it's actually a super cool song. Even if you're not super into metal, you might dig this one because it's got a little bit of the clean vocals in there as well. And just hearing him talk about recording this music video, which I definitely recommend people check out, it was kind of hilarious. I don't want to give away too much of what's in the video, but basically he's getting beat up by his friends and dragged through the woods just to try to play through this concept.
Violent.
Yeah, I guess it's part of the job.
Let's record videos, and you beat me and drag me through the woods, and this is what we do for a living. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that I was wondering when I was listening to it. I didn't get to listen to everything. I guess when I was playing it, I hit shuffle and I wasn't paying attention. Usually I like to try to listen to it from front to back, but when I was looking at the album, I'm like, I'm wondering where it splits. And I'm like, I wonder if it splits on Crucify. And like I said, that's the song that I guess identified with the most, or the one that kind of compelled me to really be a part of what was going on in this this album that they just put out, and which obviously, we play tracks between our segments, and this, you will actually hear this song Crucify on the show after this segment, and you'll probably hear a lot more than you usually hear of a song, because I want to get to a couple of parts of this album so you can hear it. So it's good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's different. Being a new band, like you said, they've been around since 2013, and this is their first real full length album. I mean, it's on Spotify. You can check it out there. You'll get all the links, or you'll get at least a link to the band page. I would recommend checking them out, especially if you're in to the more heavier side of music.
Oh yeah. And so what's cool about these guys is that they're playing a big show this weekend that's going to open them up to a whole bigger audience. They're playing with Oh Sleeper and Rival Choir, and Silent Planet, which is a pretty cool opportunity for them. So, yeah, just wishing the best for Wreck and Sarah. And like Keith said, definitely check out this album. And if you enjoyed that little clip with Josh there, you can read the full interview that I did with him on giantsinthesound.com. The band is called Wreck and Sarah.
Absolutely.
So,
good stuff.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's roll some of that track.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. That was Wreck and Sarah with Crucify off the Absolve Vindicate album that we just talked about in the last segment with Darcy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I think I like about it the most?
What?
That it's got that very, I mean, I know it's not like indie rocker, but it has a very indie feel to it. It has a very independent feel to it. So I love that about it. It's just, for me, it's raw. So
yeah, raw. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And I know a lot of people go, well, I was like, man, just feel that, man, because I mean, you can feel everything they put into that, and I love that. I'm sorry, I do.
Right.
It reminds me of old school Enter Shikari, especially the clean vocals. It has that kind of, the singer kind of has a deeper voice, and it's very vibrato focused.
Yeah, and it's refreshing too, because a lot of your, I guess, I just don't want to say but your hardcore bands, screamo bands in general that have a lot of, clean vocals, they're very high, and
Yes.
it's not something that but you get these guys who are a little bit lower, a little bit, it's just a fresher feel for me. I don't know. It was just something different. I really like that song. I've said it before in this last segment, but Crucify, really like that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, we're going to wrap up the show. We kind of look back. I mean, we had, I believe this is one of the shows that I've enjoyed recording. I mean, I enjoy recording every show, but there's certain nights that it's like, everything kind of went together, and it was a good night.
We didn't really have any technical difficulties tonight.
No, not really. Not really. Outside of having a couple of pauses that y'all don't even know we had. The world of editing, baby. The world of editing.
Just need to fix up Justin's internet a little bit, and we'll be solid.
Oh my gosh, it's not my fault.
Well, tonight I'm going to say this: Boone has been well.
Boone.
Yes, thank you.
Boone was well.
Boone was well.
That doesn't sound right, but I guess it is. Boone was well.
Boone is well with my soul tonight.
Boone is well.
Well, we want to remind you that don't vote for Trump. I'm sorry.
Please don't.
Oh my gosh! But I guess a final point I kind of want to make tonight is that a lot of stuff we talked about. I mean, we talked a good bit with music and faith with Keith, and but in the beginning we talked a lot of we talked about Mark Driscoll starting up the new church, and we talked about the Beneath the Skin, and we talked about we talked about a few different things, and I think the biggest point we can try to make maybe off tonight is that you really need to think for yourself. I think that was a good point. A question I wanted to ask Keith about Carolina basketball, Carolina University, is that sometimes you get put into those situations, you're indoctrinated into those things because not just the family you're with, but the friends you're with. I mean, sometimes you run with the crowd. I mean, football is a big thing for that. Everybody jumps on the bandwagon when Carolina's winning, but nobody wants to stay with them when.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah. I've been a Panthers fan since back in the day, man. Kerry Collins.
Been a Panther fan since they instituted the organization.
Yeah,
but
man.
I have my other teams, but but that's the thing. You got to be able to think for yourself. Just don't jump on a bandwagon because you think, oh, it's cool. Everybody. Hey, if Bernie Sanders is your man,
hey,
let him be your man. But don't jump on that bandwagon because you think he's the cool guy to go with.
Yeah, and let me say this, particularly about the sports, but really with anything in general. It's okay if a team is doing well and you grow to like them and you want to support them. But stick with them.
Yeah.
Because they're not always going to do that great. Yeah. They're going to have losing seasons.
If you like a guy who's going into office and once he gets into office, you're mad because you're the one who voted him in and you're like, oh, you better stick with him because you voted him in. I don't know. It's kind of.
By your man. Who's that? Patsy Cline?
Patsy Cline. Oh my gosh, that's a wide variety of music there, bub.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I can sing better than that.
I hope so. After all the talking we've been doing.
Yeah, I hyped so
you up
too.
way too much.
I know, right? Check this guy. I mean, he's great. And sounds like me singing.
Hey, that could have been one of those things where it's like you think you're good at something.
American Idol syndrome.
But you never actually know if you're good at it. I may be awful.
Let me say this. This year is the last season for American Idol.
True.
I don't know if y'all
I haven't watched any of it.
And I've never really watched American Idol intensely, except for maybe watching a couple of the first audition rounds. But this year, I'm kind of interested. I mean, it's the final season, and I was watching one episode, and it was weird because Jennifer Lopez is one of the judges, and she started tearing up because these group of guys and girls were singing, and she was like, "Man, nobody else is going to have the chance to do this because it's been a launching pad for a lot of people in the music industry, pop side, anyways." That and I'm thinking, man. It makes me think about my life. It gives you a sense of, I was like, man, it gave me a sense of mortality at that moment. I'm like, man.
You have an existential crisis watching American Idol?
I really did. I'm like, man, I need to get up and do something with this thing because it's running out, man. But anyways, guys, I have enjoyed it tonight. I really have. It's been a good evening. It's been an evening that Justin didn't curse at Keith too much.
True. In fact, I don't think he cursed at me at all.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't hear any profanity.
He really was.
Not at all.
He really gave you a lot of grace tonight.
I did.
Everybody needs it every now and then.
Every now and then.
Yep.
Well, most of the time.
all the time.
Well, at least in our understanding, we need it all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've had a long show. I thank you for listening. And for all of us here, we love you. We thank you. And always remember that people are not projects. They are people just like you and me. So love them like you love yourself. And guys and girls, man, Justin, David, Keith, thanks for a good show.
Anytime.
Hey, we'll see you next week.
Word.
Thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes,
Well, it was very sensitive tonight.
thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes, leave us a rating to help us spread the word about this podcast. Remember, the only way this works is if you share your story. So be sure to visit the website and leave us a comment at forgettingwalls.com or find us on Twitter at forgettingwalls and facebook.com/forgettingwalls.
Peace! It wouldn't be right if we didn't.
De bandera del muchacho se la dio con dos amigos. I
find your lack of faith disturbing.
I had to.